Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you guys 5 things to avoid in your marriage at all costs. Marriage is such a beautiful treasure and it's something that we ought to value and protect at all costs. And today I wanted to just share with you guys some things to never do. Don't do or don't neglect to do. And if you are doing it, just stop, rewind a little bit, backtrack a little bit, and try to get on the right path. Because if you do these things, it can lead to a very unhappy, unhealthy relationship. And we don't want that. So let's get started. But before I get started, let me just introduce myself. My name is Lois Raymond, and on this channel, I'm all about helping you and serving you navigate and blossom through life as a godly woman, wife, and mother. So, the very first thing to avoid at all costs in your marriage is outside influence and outside interference. I love this quote from Princess Diana, and I hope that I quote this properly. And she said once in an interview, there were 3 of us in this marriage and it was getting a little bit too crowded. And some of our marriages, some of our relationships, it's getting a little bit too crowded. This becomes a problem when you allow outside people. I'm talking about your mother, your father, your pastor, your brother, your boss, your friend, anyone on the outside, any third party to have more privilege, more influence, more rights, more authority, more respect over your spouse. When you put your spouse last and you put other people first, or when you value or you have so much respect for other individuals rather than your spouse, when you have other people on the outside that have more say, it becomes a problem. When you place more value on other people rather than your spouse, it becomes a problem when you respect this person more than you do your spouse. And when your spouse begins to feel threatened, insecure, or in competition with this other person, honey, that is a recipe for disaster and it needs to be corrected. Number 2, avoid this at all costs. And I know a lot of us, especially us women, could agree with this. And it's a common mistake that we all make. And that is holding on to unforgiveness. Yes, I know it's so common, but it's something that really affects our relationship when we hold on to unforgiveness. And I am preaching to the choir because this has always been a struggle for me, and it's because of the Lord that I have been redeemed. Because unforgiveness was a stronghold in my life, and it took the Lord and the Holy Spirit working in me for me to become victorious in this area. If you do not deal with unforgiveness, it can have an iceberg effect in your marriage. You're just too sensitive. You always take things too personal. Things always just end up in an argument. I mean, the pettiest things just end up, you're always getting vexed, always upset. No one could correct you. No one could tell you something because it always ends up in an argument. You give your spouse the silent treatment. I mean, days and weeks go by and you just don't speak to your spouse at all. Always bringing up things from the past. It's like, come on, we dealt with this issue. I thought that we moved on, but you're just bringing things back up from the past, honey. Honey, you need to learn to just let it go. Let it go. Please do it. Do it for your sanity. Do it for your peace of mind. Do it for your health. Do it for your marriage. Just learn to just let things go and just stop being too sensitive and always just taking things too personal. It's a big sign of immaturity if you're constantly always on the defensive, always easily offended, always just thinking people are out there, always feeling like if people are attacking you, just let it go. Just release. Just release. Forgiveness is something that has to be practiced. It's a daily thing. Forgiveness ought to be something that becomes habitual in your life, in your marriage. The Bible talks about forgiving 70 times 7. There's another scripture that says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Don't let that the night comes and your husband is on the couch and you're on your bed and you guys are sleeping in separate rooms because you're bitter. Don't allow the root of bitterness to go deep in your marriage. And a lot of the times, it's simple little things we hold on to that becomes big things in the end. I remember myself, my husband sometimes will come to me and he would say, are you okay? And I'll be like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I'm cool. And he would be like, Lois, we are one. I know when something is bothering you. And I would be like, no, I'm cool. And I had to learn that, Lois, humble yourself. Humble yourself, Lois, and just share and communicate. Say, hey, you said this and it hurt me. You did this and it bothered me. It offended me. Just communicating and just sharing your heart. Let them know. Nip it in the bud immediately. Don't wait for this small problem to become a mountain. Deal with it immediately and move on. Number 3. Oh, this is a touchy one. And that is avoid little to no sexual intimacy. Well, from my research that I read, they said an average young couple ought to be having sex from 1 to 3 times a week. Now, honey, if you want to do it every day, kudos to you and double thumbs up, right? But on average, 1 to 3 times a week. Your mid-age, like the older you get, 1 to 2 times a week. And then the older folks probably once a week or probably even once a month. And it really depends, but this is on average. So I'm talking about you just going days and weeks without being intimate with your husband. This can fester and this can be a serious problem and something that we need to work on in our relationship. Yes, I understand sometimes, because of your work schedule and different things like that, you may not be able to be intimate with your husband, but I'm talking about just making lame excuses for not having sex, or it was not something that you agreed upon. I mean, a lot of times, sometimes as couples, you may come to a common agreement that we will not be intimate because we are fasting or because of some medical problem or whatever reason, like a valid reason why. But outside of that, like making lame excuses for not being intimate with your husband is something that you need to avoid. And probably later on, I will do a video on this. I mean, when you don't have sex with your husbands for long periods of time, it is an open door for demonic interference in your marriage relationship. It's that serious. So I encourage you to really be intimate with your husbands at all costs. Make it a priority in your marriage. And another thing to add to this as well is using sex as a weapon. Avoid this at all costs. Using sex as a tool to manipulate your husband, or using sex as a means of reward and punishment. So if you do good and you make me happy and everything goes good today, you can have sex. But if you did something to piss me off, or if you reject me, or you tell me no, or you correct me, or whatever reason, no sex for you. Using sex as a means of punishment or reward, please guys, do not do it at all. The 4th thing to avoid in your marriage relationship is comparing your husband to someone else. Oh, how this could affect a man's ego. When you compare your husband to another man, when you compare your relationship and you put that pressure on your husband, why can't you be like this man? Why can't you do this like this man? It's very unfair to be putting unrealistic expectations on your husband to be something or someone that he's not. You are not perfect. We are all working on ourselves, and sometimes we put the pressure on our husbands, and it's like, hey, we ourselves have a lot of things to work on and a lot of things to deal with. And when we compare our husbands to someone else, we are basically telling him that he is inadequate. And a lot of the time on our workplace, in church, wherever, we see someone and we see one face of them, or we see them in one perspective. And you may admire that, but you have to be mindful. Yes, you may admire this person, but how this person will relate to you is based on a co-worker relationship. How this person will relate to you is based on, hey, you're my brother and my sister in the Lord. You don't know how this person will be if you marry them. It could be a different person, because what they are showing you is one face of them, one perspective of them. You don't know who they are at home. So a lot of the times we compare and we say, well, I want you to be like this person, but it's unfair because you're only seeing one face of this person and you're not seeing this person in their totality. So I encourage you to really stop comparing yourselves, your husbands, to other people. Value them, appreciate them. If you need something from them, say, this is what I need from you, and this is what I want you to do more of, or I want you to do less of, rather than saying, I want you to be like that person. And last but not least, another thing to avoid at all costs is just lies and dishonesty in your relationship. Basically, anything to do with deception. And yes, I'm speaking about like major lies that can really end your relationship, your marriage, but also simple little lies. Sometimes we lie for simple little things that if we tell the truth, there will be no major consequence to it. There is no effect that it will have on our relationship. But we just lie because we just feel to lie, or because we just don't want to share the truth with our husbands. But this could lead to mistrust. And you don't want to build a marriage on lies. If the foundation of your marriage is on lies, it's going to crumble. So just be in the habit of telling the truth at all times, even though it may hurt your husband. Don't lie to him. Even though it may cause a little bit of disruption, it may cause negativity, just tell the truth. Just tell the truth at all times. So guys, I hope that this video has helped you, and remember to avoid these 5 major things in your marriage relationship. If you have enjoyed this video and you like this type of content, please be a doll and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.